So you're a really special group, and you're joining a really special group. You know, we had our year-end celebration yesterday, or not yesterday, Saturday. And it was such a great time. We really celebrated. We honored some of the fellows. We honored all the outgoing mentor fellows who'll meet today. And it was such a great feeling. That kind of feeling comes through, I think, working together for a common goal. And I think the fact that our work is hard and you survive it and do well brings you closer. And so now what's really amazing for me is I look out at your faces right now and I know that we'll be in this program together for a couple of years and we will go through some great times together, some challenging times, some wonderful times, some great successes. And one spring you'll be at my house and we'll be celebrating with you, and that makes me really excited to see what we're going to do. Like I said, I think at the information session, I think the TRAC program is in a great spot right now. You know, we're here, we're for real, we're having an impact. We know pretty much who we are, but we also know that there's so much new stuff to discover, so many new things we can do to achieve our mission, which is really making writing a more important part of the undergraduate education. Writing which is a student-centered pedagogy, right? That wants to hear multiple views, wants to know what you think, not just what the right answer is. We're going to help our students achieve that. It's very, very exciting to us. Okay. So what I want to do is I want to begin by introducing our mentor fellows, because they're going to, as soon as I finish this, I'm going to kind of be out of the way and they're going to take over. Okay. In case you don't know what mentor fellows are, we might have talked about this a little bit at the interview, but mentor fellows are fellows who have been in the program for at least 2 years when they apply to be a mentor fellow, and they also have really a record of exemplary achievement as TRAC fellows. And it's really quite an honor to be one. And they really, in many ways, do a lot of the running. They'll be your go-to people, and you'll have 2 of them who will be on the teaching team in the seminar for you, actually leading the teaching team in the seminar. But let me start, and I'm going to kind of start with the outgoing mentor fellows. First, AP Orlebeke. AP has actually been with the program for 5 years. He's a second-year grad student. He started as a sophomore. He now has a role of mentor fellow, but also managing fellow. He knows so much about it, and took a lot of the reins from me and did a lot of the running of the program this year, and really helped us advance. A lot of these things are very important to us. As an undergrad, he was a history major and
instructional technology master's.
Technology is his master's degree. Okay. Next is Brionna O'Connor. She's a senior. She biology major? Earth science major. Brionna was actually one of the 2 mentor fellows we're going to meet today who, for the first time in teaching the seminar, they're actually the leaders of the seminar, the leaders of the teaching team. And that's made all the difference for us. So she has helped us show us the way in the area, and she has been just a wonderful mentor fellow and a great TRAC fellow before that. Next is Nick Pahuta. Nick is also a senior, of course. He's going on to law school next year.
Grad school. He's in grad school, too.
Oh, he's in grad school, too. He's a presidential scholar, grad student going on to law school next year. He was a mentor fellow, is a mentor fellow for veteran fellows. Okay, so he's worked with fellows who have been in the program for a while. Okay. Next, David Tench. David Tench is also, you are a senior, right? You're 5th year. Did I say how close we are? Really, okay. Going on to grad school next year. David was also one of the mentor fellows in the teaching team, leader of one of the sections last year, and did a wonderful job. Okay. Incoming mentor fellows are Kylie Gray. Kylie will be the mentor fellow leader of the 10 o'clock section of TRAC 100. So those of you who are in the 10 o'clock section, Kylie will be the main teacher. Kylie will be a 5th year. English major and doing graduate work in the English department. Right? Okay. Sara Huser, it will be the other mentor fellow for TRAC 100, 12 o'clock section. And Sara will be a senior, she's IBE computer science. Boom, okay.
2 for 2.
And so really, Kylie and Sara are going to pick up really take the reins from Brionna and David, okay, and take this even further with leading that teaching team. And then Louise McCallie will be a senior biology major, okay. Louise will be a mentor fellow for veteran fellows. Okay, so you'll see you'll see her at staff meetings and so forth, but she will not very often be in the seminar, although you may make a guest visit once in a while, perhaps, right?
Yeah.
And finally, Brandyn will be a senior IBE major and mechanical engineering. Okay, so once I get warmed up, I can a little bit better. Let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Are we good?
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, so now I'm going to hand it over to the Mentor Fellows. AP, are you going to start?
Yeah, I'm going to start. So again, my name is Orlebeke. I'm a fifth year, or actually I'm a sixth year here at Lehigh. This is my fifth year in the program. We're going to start off, before we get into kind of this presentation component, and tell you all about the great work that you're going to be doing in the TRAC program and the work that we do as a program. We want to introduce all of you to yourselves. We've read your applications, we got to interview you, so we're going to take a few moments to introduce you. Sara has to leave, so we're going to get her done real quick, and then the rest of us are going to be introducing each of you. So you don't have to stand when your name is called, but just acknowledge that they're speaking about you would be great.
Okay, so the first fellow I'd like to introduce is Jen Angelo. Jen is a sophomore bioengineering major in the College of Engineering. And all of the fellows I'm introducing, I read their letter of interest and kind of picked an excerpt that I really enjoyed. And the excerpt from her letter of interest that I liked is, quote, "Writing is never finished, it's just due." This quote stuck out to me at the TRAC Fellow information session. Applying this idea to myself, I can say that my writing skills will never be complete. I plan on writing for the rest of my life because writing makes me happy. The TRAC program is a perfect way to practice skills I already have, meet students of various backgrounds, demonstrate my strengths as a leader, challenge myself to gain new experiences, and better my writing abilities. Writing is never finished, and I believe that my love for writing and my capabilities as a writer will never tire. Being a TRAC Writing Fellow would be nothing but an honor and an amazing way to continue doing what I love. Welcome, Jen. Stand up?
Yeah, okay.
Let's make sure everybody sees
Yeah, okay.
The next fellow is Maggie Noseworthy. Maggie's a freshman anthropology major, and she's in the College of Arts and Sciences. And in her letter of interest, I like this excerpt specifically. She said, "As I read over the work and vocalize it, I wait for moments. I wait for moments of ambiguity, moments that don't flow well. I wait for weak moments that could be stretched out to demonstrate the point more effectively. I wait for moments of unexpected connection that reimagine my ideas and bring the topic full circle. Even if the work ends up being a dud, new thinking has been sparked and I've become more comfortable with the information. Through the process, I know I've learned." Welcome, Maggie. The next fellow is Elijah Ort. Elijah's a sophomore. He's an English major in the College of Arts and Sciences. And in his letter of interest, I chose the following excerpt. "In my past experience with writing assistants, it seemed that my paper was being dissected, examined with a harsh microscope. I felt that this really disrupted not only the writing process, but my confidence as a writer too. On the other hand, the TRAC program has a focus on making suggestions to help the student better understand the writing process. It builds confidence in the particular work and the student's writing in general. I think this is brilliant. Welcome, Elijah." And lastly, Ani Nahapeto? Yeah, that's fine. She's a sophomore bioengineering major in the College of Engineering. And from her letter of interest, I chose the following. "If given the opportunity, the TRAC program would be an incredible opening for me to engage in peer-to-peer interaction, as well as create new relationships with professors, which will help me further enhance my knowledge and skills in the area of communications. I love to engage in activities that stimulate my mind, as well as share new information that I gather over time. Due to my fascination with continually exploring, learning, and expanding my knowledge, I find it very appealing to have the opportunity of reading a wide range of papers to discover new information, concepts, and perspectives that are different from my own." Welcome, Arnold. I was just going to say, I apologize I have to leave, but I'll be back round one.
All right. Go, yeah, just go around.
Are we going around?
Yeah, go around. Yeah.
All right. Hi, I'm Nick. I'm an outgoing mentor fellow, so I won't really be working with you next year, but I think we got a good bunch of people this year. I'm sure you'll be really happy with the program. The first person I'm introducing is Sara Berman. Sara, where are you? Hi, Sara. Sara's a sophomore. I couldn't find your major on our internet thing. Political science? Cool. And in her letter of interest, Sara writes about working at a high school speech and debate camp over the summer, which I thought was really cool. And the one quote I pulled out was, "When I tell my friends about this job, I usually get asked how nerdy I could possibly be," which I think is a pretty adequate representation of what the track program is like. So I'm sure you'll be in familiar territory with that. So welcome. Are we going?
Yeah, we're going to go.
Okay.
I'm Kylie again, and the first person I'd like to introduce is actually not with us. His name is Will Dolly, and he's currently studying, not abroad, but remotely, I guess, in Washington, D.C. So he's a junior international and political science major. So we had a very interesting Skype interview. That was kind of cool. But one of the things I learned is that he was motivated to apply because he had some difficulty with the first year writing program here, and he wanted to use his experiences as an upperclassman taking advanced coursework to help others younger than him with their writing. And some interesting facts is that he worked in an investment bank and a congressional office, so that will certainly help his students.
Hi everyone, again, I'm Brandyn. I'll be a mentor fellow for Veteran Fellows next year. The first person I'm going to introduce is Sanjana Chintalapudi, and she's a first-year ideas major. I got the chance to interview her, and I really like that she talked about how she wanted to be a member of the TRAC program because she was really passionate about science, chemistry, and physics, but she really wanted to integrate writing into the sciences more, and I thought that was really good. Something I pulled from her letter of interest, she says, "I wish to help students realize the power of writing to my peers, not only help them become better thinkers, but also become better activists on and off campus." And I think that's really crucial to what we strive to do as TRAC Fellows. So welcome, Sanjana.
I'm Louise. I'm also a mentor fellow for Veteran Fellows, so I'll be around but not working directly with you all. First person I'm introducing is Karen Conkley. She's a freshman psychology major, and I got to sit in on her interview too. And we were all very impressed by how enthusiastic and very bubbly she was. And when I read her letter of interest, this one line really stuck out. She said, "An essay is a ruler for growth," which I know I really could relate to, saying how like a paper is insight into a person's writing process and how they're growing over time. So I thought that was really neat, and I'm excited to see you look at other people's rulers for growth. So welcome, Karen.
The first person I'm introducing, Nicole. I don't want to mispronounce your last name, so.
It's
Chulchin. Okay, Nicole Chulchin. Nicole is a sophomore in the College of Business Economics. You're undeclared, or?
Well, I'm actually in the process of switching over to arts and sciences.
Okay, nice. Arts and sciences and English. Great. All right. So, note to self. She had the opportunity to actually work with TRAC Fellows in Biz 5 this semester, and actually having transferred from Arcadia, so she's a recent Lehigh transfer. What really impressed me actually about Nicole is prior to Lehigh, while she was working as the chief editor of the Compass over at Arcadia, she really became a force of kind of positive disruptive change when she looked at kind of the mechanical, more grammar-focused process of working with writers and contributors to that organization, and really kind of try to make it more TRAC-like, just kind of on her own, without knowing kind of the values of the TRAC program prior to that. So that was something that really kind of impressed me. She described in her letter of interest how she views writing as a meeting of the minds, and is eager to help other students with their writing process while also honing her own skills. We're very excited to have Nicole in the 10 a.m. section of the TRAC 100 seminar in the fall. Please join me in welcoming Nicole.
I'm Brionna again. I'm an outgoing mentor fellow, and I'll be introducing Ian Troffer. Ian Troffer is a first-year computer science and physics major, and one thing that stood out to me in his letter was he talked about how he loves helping people with physics in any way that he can, and it really aligns with our ideals of writing across curriculum and how we can help in all sorts of departments. In particular, one quote that he said that stuck out was, "People with whom we surround ourselves greatly affect who we are and what we become." And we look forward to seeing you in the TRAC Fellow program.
Hey guys, again, I'm David, I'm an outgoing mentor fellow, and I'm introducing William Black. Where are you at? Is the section in his letter that, first, you're a freshman undeclared, right? All right, cool. So there's a section in your letter that, for me, perfectly captures the kind of interactions track fellows try to have with their students. I'm going to quote it. I've had the pleasure to come in contact with many great teachers, coaches, and other adult mentors. However, the person I feel I've learned the most from is my brother. When he and I talk, it is as equals and the conversation is a discussion. Whereas when I'm talking to my parents or teachers, it is more of a dictation. They talk and I listen. But with my brother, I feel free to offer up my own ideas and opinions and challenge what he is saying. For me, that gets right to the heart of what we try to do as track fellows, and I hope you can draw from those experiences to help you connect with students as you become a track fellow. So welcome.
The next person I have to introduce is Tess Jennings. Tess, where are you? Tess is a sophomore journalism major, correct? And she wrote a lot about being the editor-in-chief of her high school newspaper and working with the Brown and White as their sports editor. And one thing I was particularly impressed with in your letter was you wrote about being excited about a certain aspect of the track program that I personally came into it being a little bit dismayed about, and that's working outside of your major. And she writes, I'm not a scientist, but I think working with students who are in biology or engineering would really open my mind to other ways of thinking. And I think that's a really refreshing way to look at the track program. So welcome.
I'd like to introduce Alex Panagakos, is that right? Okay. She's a first-year student undeclared in a business school. And one thing that really stuck out to me from talking to her and reading her letter was that she really values the collaboration among peers, which we all agree is so important. So I just would like to quote from her letter. An academic relationship among students who live and learn in the same collegiate sphere gives the student-tutor connection a deeper sense of relatability that a student may not find when working with a faculty member. And I just really enjoyed, her sense of the peer collaboration that we value. So, welcome, Alex.
The next person I'm going to introduce is Madison Gouveia. So Madison is a first-year journalism and communications major. So I got the chance to interview Madison, and I was really impressed by her talking about the importance of challenging students to get them to achieve their full potential and help them learn things. I know personally this is one of the most difficult things we have to do as track fellows, but it's definitely one of the most valuable ways to learn. So I think that'll be a great asset to you as a track fellow. So welcome, Madison.
The next person I'm going to introduce is Alyssa Talley. Alyssa spoke in her, I got to interview Alyssa as well, and she spoke very highly of her current track fellow. So she already has a really good grasp of what a good track fellow looks like what she knows that works, and I thought that was really neat. She's a freshman finance major, and Alyssa wrote in her letter of interest that she loves to write and is always trying to grow as a writer, which I think is really important for the track program, especially in the seminar. You're working a lot on your own writing, so I think that's a really good thing to be aware of, some goals for the future. So welcome, Alyssa.
The next person I'm introducing is Ashley Goldschmidt. Ashley, where are you? Thank you. Ashley is a freshman in the Rossin College of Engineering and Applied Sciences in IBE, correct? Okay. In her letter of interest, she talked about how she felt actually disconcerted about the fact that as a freshman engineer, she was finishing her last required English course, and yet there was still a lot she felt like she could learn and improve on in her writing. It's this kind of intrinsic to desire to improve that we recognize as an inherent part of a successful track fellow. Her instincts for asking students questions about their writing rather than pushing her own ideas onto her students was evident in her interview. We're very excited to have Ashley in the 12 p.m. section of the TRAC 100 seminar in the fall. Please welcome Ashley.
The next person we'll introduce is Christina Chan. She's a first year in the business school accounting major, and I had the pleasure of interviewing Christina. And so one thing she had said in her interview that really stuck out to me was how writing lets you see people in a different light, and she was very eager to start working with students. Particularly, to quote her letter of interest, she said, "Writing bolsters free thinking and a flow of new ideas that I would like to work with students on." So we look forward to seeing you in the program.
Next up is Rory Siegel, sophomore English major, freshman English major. Oops, my bad. Good thing I checked. In your letter, you described a peer editing group from your high school language and composition class, which formed an online community that's still active today. Not only did you explain why the experience was useful and relevant, you also mentioned that in the group there's still an argument that is ongoing about the use of the Oxford comma. We try to make the TRAC program a community where people stay engaged and active, and so I hope you take that energy and motivation to what we do. So, welcome.
The next person I'm introducing is Matt McCombs. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is a freshman studying computer science and business. And in your letter, you wrote about undertaking challenges to become the best student, the best person that you can be. He writes, in all aspects of my life, I look for ways to improve myself, whether it be a particular subject in school, a particular skill that I want to improve upon, or even an attribute of my personality. And I know, speaking from personal experience, that the TRAC program has really challenged me and helped me a lot. So I hope this is it for you. So welcome to the
I'd like to introduce Maureen Weaver. Maureen is a first-year student undeclared in the business school. She has had a TRAC fellow for both of her semesters at Lehigh. I was actually lucky enough to work with Maureen this past semester as a TRAC fellow. And one interesting fact about her is that she works at the Lehigh University Small Business Center. And I think that will help her a lot as a TRAC fellow, given the research and the writing that is involved in that job. So, welcome.
The next person I'm going to introduce is Emma Hillman. Emma. Emma is a sophomore accounting major. And from her letter of interest, she says a lot about how she applied to be a TRAC fellow because I've heard great experiences with her TRAC fellows this past year in Biz 1 and Biz 5, and how that really helped her to become a better writer. And she also said she's a tutor for business statistics at Lehigh, and I think it'll be really great to see how she applies that peer tutoring relationship there to being a TRAC fellow. So welcome, Emma.
I'm next introducing Emma Bola. Did I say that right? Yeah. Okay. She's a sophomore global studies major, and she talked a lot about, I was also in her interview, she talked a lot about, in her interview and in her letter of interest, about the importance of writing in the technological age, which I thought was a really cool thing that a lot of people seem to forget. She also talked about how she enjoys collaborative writing and how she hopes that as in her studies as a global studies major, she can take what she's learned there and apply it to the TRAC program. So welcome, Emma.
The last person that I will be introducing is Eden Weidenflash. I had the opportunity of sitting in on her interview as well. Eden is a freshman in the College of Arts and Sciences majoring in psychology. However, she is also studying education as well in the hopes of becoming a teacher. What impressed me about Eden in her interview was her desire to work with students and through conversation help them reach that aha moment in their learning. Her warm and friendly personality was very, very evident to me, and her sense of her own writing process was also very strong. With her desires as an educator, along with her personality and strong writing process, we are confident that Eden will become a great peer mentor and TRAC fellow. We're very excited to have Eden in the 12 p.m. section of the TRAC 100 seminar in the fall. Please join me in welcoming Eden.
The next person I'll be introducing is Anthony Scally.
Scally.
Scally, cool. Anthony's a second year in the business school accounting major. I had the pleasure of interviewing Anthony, and one thing that he said that really stood out to me was how organized he is, and I think you're actually the most organized person I've ever talked to. That being said, to quote your letter, you said actually to quote something you had said in the interview, was that you were looking for something more fulfilling and less short-lived, and I think those two things coupled together will let you do great things in the TRAC program.
Kylie Skellington? Sophomore bio major, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Your application letter really dug deeply into why writing is valuable and why continual improvement is important and how TRAC fellows can help. So I'm going to quote it quick. Having taken a course that utilizes TRAC fellows, I am aware of the great impact that TRAC fellows can have on the students with whom they work. Not only did my TRAC fellow critique my piece based on the effectiveness and accuracy of my chosen words and syntax, but she also facilitated critical thought by posing extensive questions and analyzing the meaning. This deeper level of thought allowed me to see pieces of writing, even scientific lab reports, as the depiction of a unique message that requires precision in style rather than just simply putting words into sentences. Welcome.
last person I'm going to introduce is Kylie Nyman. Is that how you say it? Hi, Kylie. Carly's a freshman, and as of mine, you're undeclared side major yet. All right. And reading through a lot of these letters, we get a lot of people that are very empathetic about the writing process. And I thought Carly's letter really stood out. And just to quote, she says, "My interest in the TRAC Fellow program lies in my desire to help students become excited about their writing and leave feelings of frustration behind. I think a vital aspect of building enthusiasm for writing is instilling a sense of confidence. It is common for students to doubt their writing skills, which often holds them back from starting to draft their essays as soon as possible." And I think that sort of empathy is really going to help you in the TRAC program, not only improving your own writing, but helping the writing. So welcome.
I'd like to introduce Erin Boyle. Erin is a junior accounting major, and even though she's had a lot of great success as an accounting major, she wants to push beyond that and sort of develop herself as a writer as well as helping others to develop. So one thing that she's particularly interested in is working with the Biz 1 and Biz 5 partnerships that we have in the TRAC program. And she writes that she was lost in the collegiate writing process during those introductory classes. So she can be a mentor for other first-year students in the business school. And I think she'll make a great mentor. So welcome.
The last person I'm introducing is Catherine Hickey. Catherine, there you are. Hi. She's a freshman and she's undeclared, as the last time I checked. She said that she wants to help those who struggle with writing develop their skills, as well as taking those who already have a solid grasp of writing and helping them continue to develop, which I thought was really great because of an important part of the TRAC program is meeting students where they are and helping them from there. So I think Catherine really has a good grasp of that. I'm looking forward to seeing her in the TRAC program.
The last person I'll introduce is Darcy Horn. Darcy. Oh, hi. I haven't met you yet. Darcy's a first year. She's undeclared in the business school considering finance. One thing she had written in her letter was how style is everything. Having one's own style brings comfort to the writing. Where one is comfortable about the writing process and about his or her writing style, there are no limits. And I think as you maintain those ideas of helping develop other students develop their own styles, you'll do good work in the TRAC program.
So I think this is the last one.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
All right, Meredith Stifter. Meredith, I sat in on your interview, and while we were talking, I noticed that you had learned a lot of lessons from your interaction with your own TRAC fellow. You saw that the fellow worked to involve you in the writing process, suggesting avenues for improvement rather than directing and encouraging you to think from the perspective of your audience. I was really impressed with that subtlety and the astuteness of the observations you made, and I'm excited that you're bringing that skill to the program. So welcome.
All right, so now that you all somewhat know each other, we're going to kind of talk a little bit about what you've gotten yourself into. So this presentation is really going to throw a lot of information at you. We're not expecting you to know all this. There will not be a quiz or an exam or a long essay at the end. This is really just meant to give you a full, comprehensive idea of kind of what we do in the TRAC program, our philosophies behind it, and also just to make sure that you're, again, as prepared as possible for the summer and for next fall. So our mission really is kind of these three main areas. First and foremost is really to kind of transform the undergraduate education experience and kind of the culture here at Lehigh. As many of you kind of expressed, if you're outside of arts and sciences, outside of your first year English experience, you might not have had to do much writing, or maybe you even tested out of first year English, the first year English experience here. So in general, there's not many opportunities for students at Lehigh to really express themselves and communicate through writing outside of those courses and perhaps their writing intensive courses. So we really feel that interacting with students, collaborating with them, and having robust conversations about their thought process, about their writing process, really there's a real learning opportunity there, especially done with a peer. Collaborating, creating, developing new partnerships, and continually improving as a program. The size of this program alone has changed a lot since we were first started in the fall of 2008. But we're constantly trying to improve ourselves. If there's an aspect that we as mentor fellows or fellows recognize, hey, we don't have this thing about the program I would like to change or improve, or hey, we don't do this, why is that? Just by simply asking a question, fellows are the people that have continually changed this program. It's not Greg that's sitting in front of us telling us what we're going to do today or tomorrow or next year. It's the insights and ideas and things that you bring to the table, and we're really excited that your freshness to the program might be that next wave of really great improvements to the program. And lastly, we always want to strive to bring out the best in others and in ourselves. Obviously this is evident in our work with our students, working with their writing. We want to make sure that whether they feel like they're a strong writer or not, that they really improve, that they get to feel like maybe I wasn't as good of a writer or as good with my introductions or my conclusions than when I started, but having worked with my track fellow with you all, that I've improved. And obviously we also want to improve ourselves, and there's a lot of different ways that we do that. This is really kind of what it's all about. These are two of our track fellows from last year's orientation. Unfortunately, we don't have many pictures of fellows actually in the process of fellowing one another, but this is a great representation. Two fellows, two students sitting side by side, focused on a piece of writing, focused on having a really good conversation. As you can also see, we have we also interact with faculty and professors, and we'll talk more about that component a little bit later. But this is really what it's all about. It's about the writing. It's about the relationships that we form with students. And we'll say this a lot later on, but really the track program is much more about, we're about much more than just writing. So I want to talk a little bit about the history of the program, since I'm the old grandpa of this program, and I've gotten to see a lot of changes in track. So really the beginning of the track program started when Greg Skutches came to Lehigh. He came in as the director of writing across curriculum. At that time, Lehigh didn't have a writing across curriculum program, so he was really tasked with kind of starting that at Lehigh. And in a lot of his explorations and research, and even some focus groups with students and faculty at Lehigh, and even with over 100 conversations with faculty in that first semester alone about kind of their thoughts on writing and what the writing across curriculum program might do for Lehigh. He really saw this potential for Writing Fellows programs. And there are a number of other Writing Fellows programs across the country. There's one at Lafayette, there's one at Duke, there's one over at Brown. But really getting a chance to visit and talk with other Writing Fellows programs elsewhere, really found that there's a lot of promise with the student-centered pedagogy and focus on collaboration. Really, recognizing that there was a need for more robust writing at Lehigh. And really our inspiration kind of in a lot of ways came from Brown University. There's some writing programs have a model where they tell you, they have a course like you're going to have with the Track 100 seminar, and they train you, you get to do a lot of readings, a lot of work there, and then the next semester, the following semester, you do your kind of first experiences as fellows. And what we find is that really if you're learning about all these things abstractly separate from your actual first semester in practice, then there's a lot of really important insights and learning that you miss. So that's why we have, that's why you'll be taking the Track 100 seminar in the fall and continuing and tracking your first course at the same time. So you'll be learning how to be a fellow while you're being a fellow for the first time.
So like AP was saying, the program's definitely grown over time. When it started in the fall, we had 15 fellows, plus Greg. We were only working with 10 faculty and only a couple of courses, and they covered about 250 students. Whereas now, this is what the program looks like. The light gray are people studying abroad, the blue are fellows, and the darker gray are mentor fellows. So now we currently have 42 fellows with 8 studying abroad and 4 mentor fellows. We're working with about 700 students. And this year we started a collaboration with the business school, the College of Business. So we're hoping to continue to expand our growth over time and reach more students and more courses. So, to date, we have had 178 fellows over the years. We've worked with about 80 faculty, about 4,700 students. And at the end of each semester, track fellows are given kind of a survey, or we give a survey to our students where they mark like how effective we were and anything we can improve on. And those, as well as the program in general, has gotten consistently strong assessment results, which we think is a good indication that somebody likes what we're doing, so we should continue on. This year we had 375 nominations with about 120 people attending the 2 information sessions. There were 106 applicants, which boils down to 30 new track fellows. So you all are the best of the best. You all all impressed us in your interviews and your writing samples and your letter of interest. So among your class, there are 17 freshmen, 11 sophomores, and 2 juniors. So it's a good spread. And the 10-10 and the 12-10 sections, you guys are split pretty evenly between the two. So it'll be a nice mix of people. So in the fall, was it in the fall? These are the numbers for. Okay. In the fall, there will be 71 students, TRAC Fellows, with 30 new fellows and 41 veterans, with 4 mentor fellows who you've already met, and we're still figuring out how many courses, but we're working with about 1,000 students. Biz 1 alone has, was it 400 something students? So it's a really big task, but with a group like you all, we're confident that we'll be able to handle it.
So in the fall, as you all know, you'll be taking the TRAC 100 seminar, and I'm just going to give you a little briefing on what that's going to be like if you haven't heard already. So it's a 4-credit seminar, not just kind of a side class. It'll be a part of your regular curriculum in the fall. It's a teaching team. So this fall, as you heard, it was taught by, I taught the noon section, the 10 section. I taught the 10 section. Clearly memorable. I was in the noon section when I was a fellow. David taught the other section. And along with Greg, who you've met, another Greg Ryman, who helped start the program with Greg S., Jim, who's sitting in the back here, and then the IT staff, the librarians help teach it. So, like, for example, there'll be a librarian in the classroom every Monday, or someone from IT every Wednesday, because it's a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class. But that style is really awesome because you get the input of many different people in the TRAC program. The mentor fellow, who this year will be Kylie, who's still here, and then Sara, who had to run out, will introduce the class each day, lead discussion with you. The first few weeks of the seminar, it's a lot of reading, very intensive on the reading, but you learn a ton about peer tutoring, writing pedagogy, a lot of ideas about what we do as TRAC Fellows. We have a big emphasis on mindfulness to allow you to work on developing skills in your conferences with your TRAC Fellows. Mindfulness is a skill that we practice every day in the seminar and then have extended mindfulness practice on Fridays, which you'll learn a lot about. It's very heavy on mindfulness, and it really can help you in your work as TRAC Fellows, being conscious of what you do for your students you work with and that sort of thing. There's also self-directed assignments. So as the semester progresses, you'll have an individual paper that you write based on the readings. You'll have an individual writing project that you design yourself, and you'll have a group project that you'll do with some of the other fellows you see here on developing the program. So that group project will be about an idea you have for the program or something you want to do to advance the program, and you'll research it, experiment with it, and write about it, essentially. And you'll hear more about that later and as the seminar progresses. But there's a lot of independence in the seminar, a lot of work, and a lot of learning. I forgot to mention it's seminar style, so kind of how you would picture a graduate seminar. Everyone sits around. There's like 15 in the fall, so it's a small class. You sit around a round table, and you talk about writing a lot, and it's a good time. So what do we do as TRAC Fellows beyond this seminar? Our work is collaborating with faculty. So this first seminar, the first semester you're in the program, you'll be in the seminar, and you'll have your TRAC class. You'll review and provide feedback on a syllabus and the writing assignments for the course you're working with. You'll assist with technology, setting up course site page, maybe for writing submissions and that sort of thing. And you'll serve as a liaison between the students and professor. So it's definitely an up in responsibility, and it's really exciting to get to work with the faculty. We also guide students through the writing process, as you should all know by now. Read and provide generative, non-directive comments on draft, which is something you'll get to practice in the seminar. You'll track each other in the seminar, which is really good practice for what you'll be doing at the same time with your class you're tracking. We hold conferences to generate discussion with students and provide feedback on their writing. And we assist with research, which is something you'll learn about in the seminar as well. You'll find yourself assisting with research. If you're in a class that has heavy emphasis on research, you'll have the librarians as a resource for you to work on developing your students' research skills as well as your own research skills. And that, I think, sums up what you'll be doing in the fall. We'll keep talking about it. I know that's a lot to take in all at once. David will talk in.
All right. So
When it comes down to it, what the goal of a track fellow is not to tell students how to fix their papers, tell them what they need to do to be a good writer, but to get them to think and take ownership of their own thought process and what they're doing. And that's hard. It's hard enough and complicated enough that there are lots and lots of people whose careers are about thinking about how to educate people, and they can't agree on how to do it. So suffice to say, there's no one right answer, and a good track fellow not only does what they're asked to do, but thinks about how they can improve both their own work and the work of the program. So some things that we do to try to always get better at what we're doing is we have partnerships with various campus groups such as the Women's Center or the Rainbow Room that try to help us think about how to engage with and work productively with people who may have different life experiences than we do. As Brionna mentioned in the seminar, you'll be doing individually directed and group projects that are often about ways that we might improve the program, different things that we can try, or thinking about the effectiveness of things that we've been doing so far. There are periodically staff meetings throughout the semester and small working groups where after your first semester you guys will do this, where you meet with other fellows and talk about what challenges you've been dealing with, what you could be doing better, that sort of thing. In the fall there's a team building activity. It's pretty close to the beginning of the semester, right? Yeah, and so that's a way to get to know everybody and start thinking about how to interact as a program. And as was mentioned earlier as well, you will receive evaluations at the end of every semester from the students that you've worked with, and you'll get feedback from them. We also have evaluations and feedback for the program as a whole, so that's one way we work to improve. On a personal level, there are a couple different ways that we try to support track fellows in getting better at getting better. Each of you will be assigned a peer coaching partner who your partner should be in this room today. And what will happen is a couple times over the first semester you'll meet. When you're having a conference with a student, your coaching partner will be there with you, and they won't participate, but they'll just watch and they'll let you know afterwards what they thought about how you did, and then you can have a conversation about what worked well, what didn't work well, what could be going better. I already mentioned weekly working groups. That's, again, just a forum for you to talk with a couple other track fellows about the challenges you're facing and how you deal with them. At the end of the semester, again, you get evaluations from the students you've worked with. And finally, at the end of every semester, we ask you to fill out a short form in which you appraise your own performance, how well you think you did, the stuff you thought you did well, what you think you could improve on. There are a couple techniques and resources we have available to you to help you out with this stuff. Reflective practice, which is the idea that as you face a challenge and you make a decision about how you're going to deal with it, afterwards you stop and you think about how it went and what you could have done better. Brionna mentioned mindfulness, which gets covered a lot in the seminar. You'll learn more about that. But one of the goals of that is to become more aware and more cognizant of the decisions you make as you write or as you talk with other people, which is really important in how we engage with other people. And finally, you'll be working with a mentor fellow, either Kylie or Sara, again, who had to step out. And they will listen to you talk about the challenges you faced and the things you did well on. They'll give you advice. They'll offer suggestions. They'll be there to answer any questions and to give you whatever support you need from them. In the past, here are some things that track fellows, some ideas that track fellows have had that we tried. They were things that we tried to do to get better, and a lot of them we're still doing today. We've thought about working with documentary films, which, as you can imagine, can be very different from working with a student who's working on an essay. We've looked at using new instructional technologies to enhance the work we do, such as iPads and other technology. Before, we've tried tracking with students in foreign languages. I don't think anybody's working on that at the moment, but it isn't the first time. If somebody wants to start it again, that isn't the first time that's happened. We've tried initiatives where students, track fellows, observe faculty members who are lecturing their students and give the faculty members feedback on their presentation style and the things they're doing, which went pretty well. We're always thinking about ways that we can improve the program and the work that we do. And recently, we've started working, I think this was mentioned earlier, with Business 1 and Business 5. One of our goals is to ultimately change the way that writing is taught at Lehigh, and pretty broadly. And so we're trying to interact with as many students as possible. And so the partnership with a business college is really helpful, especially because we're getting everybody that's coming through that program, all the new people, we're getting them exposed to a student-centered writing pedagogy early. And there are more initiatives that could happen. Anything you guys think of that you think is a good thing to try, we're willing to give a shot. It's important, however, that we give you a lot of freedom. Nobody's going to be looking over your shoulder, making sure you've done everything you're supposed to do. We know that you guys can handle that, and we trust you to do it. But sometimes stuff will come up. Maybe there'll be an issue. You can't get something done. It's important then that you that when misunderstandings or problems arise, that you communicate with people to make sure that everybody knows what's going on. So you should be communicating with your faculty and students so they know when you're going to meet with them, that sort of thing. You should communicate with your mentor fellow, especially when there's some sort of concern or something like that. Your mentor fellows are there to support you and they're to help you out and go to bat for you. So the sooner you let them know about an issue you're having, the sooner they can help you. And finally, communicate with other fellows. We want you to talk about your experience in the work you're doing and get other people's perspective on it. It's a lot easier to improve when you're not just doing it by yourself, when you're engaged with other people. Again, as AP mentioned earlier, this is all about bringing out the best in others and ourselves. And it's more about just writing. We're trying to encourage people to think and take ownership for their ideas, and that can be really hard. So we want to make sure that you guys are as supported as possible and everybody's as engaged as they can be. Kylie, go ahead.
Okay, so you may be wondering what you'll actually be doing next semester. Your work life at Lehigh might change a little bit now that you're a TRAC fellow, so I'm going to shed a little bit of light on what you'll actually be doing. So believe it or not, your work as a TRAC fellow starts before you even start your next classes. So one thing that you'll be doing probably early in the summer, you'll be receiving an email from your mentor fellow telling you what class you're in. So quickly, you'll want to get in contact with your professor and schedule a meeting because you have a lot to talk about. Some of the things you'll want to talk about are the syllabi for the class. So you want to make sure that what it says on the syllabi is going to make sense to all the students, and you can tell your professor what you're getting from the syllabi and also the writing assignments and how you think it will be perceived by the students, and you want to make sure that what you're perceiving will be what your professor wants as well. So you want to make sure that you have a great understanding of what your professor is expecting and what they want from their students so that you can help your students to achieve their best work. You'll also be looking at, rubrics, communication, scheduling. So these are, the ways that you'll be communicating with your students. And you'll also be talking about when your actual tracking cycles will be occurring. So your professors will probably have an idea of when they want assignments turned in, and you can give feedback on them with that. So you can make sure that the scheduling makes sense and that your students have enough time to go through the full TRAC conference cycle. Another thing you'll be doing will be meeting and communicating with other fellows. So many of you will be working with other fellows on a course. Some of you may be working by yourself, but if you are working with a group, likely you'll have a lead fellow who will be sort of taking charge with some of the communication with the professor, but you want to make sure that you're all on the same page and meeting. So, in the beginning of the semester, you'll be busy with TRAC as well. So, one very important first step is to introduce yourself to your TRAC course. That will really set the tone for the rest of the semester and make sure that they can put a face to the emails that they're receiving and that they know who they're meeting when they actually are meeting with you. So you'll also be explaining what you do as a TRAC fellow, and you're probably some of the best people who can describe what you'll be doing, and the students will really love hearing it from a peer. So you really want to emphasize that you're there to provide suggestions to help work on the writing process and not to help them get a better grade necessarily, and you're not actually involved in the grading at all. You're just there to help them. So really emphasize that. Another thing that you'll be doing is communicating and planning with your coaching partners. So I think David had mentioned coaching partners. So As he mentioned, you'll be working on 2 drafts and 2 conferences with your coaching partner. So one thing that you can do is sort of schedule when you'll be sitting in on their conferences and also when they're receiving their drafts so that you can look at 2 of their drafts over the course of the semester. Although they don't necessarily have to be the same drafts for the same conferences that you'll be sitting in, they can change. So one very important thing is to look at what you've discussed with your professors and make sure that you can lay out your schedule for the entire semester. This will be really helpful for you because some weeks may be very difficult with your track course, and it could also be very difficult with everything else that you have going on. So you want to make sure that you're prepared for that. You have everything laid out in your schedule, in your planner book or whatever you use. And finally, we would be organizing weekly working groups, although this won't actually pertain to you in the fall. This is something that you'll be doing every other semester after the fall. Weekly working groups is something that we all do as fellows. We meet in a group of about 5 or 7 fellows, and we meet for about an hour a week just to discuss how things are going. We want to support each other, and we sort of act like a continuation of the seminar in a way, because in the seminar we will all come together and really support each other and be able to talk about things that are challenging and things that we would like to work on, our ideas. So meeting in working groups after the fall semester will be a way for you to continue to improve yourself. Another important step will be to communicate with your mentor fellow, which will be me or Sara. So we will meet several times over the course of the semester. One, in the beginning, we will set some goals for what you would like to do and how you would like to improve yourself for next semester. So I'm guessing that your goals would probably change over the course of each semester, helping you to just better yourself and better yourself as a track fellow. Another thing you'll be doing is sharing with your mentor fellow your schedule, so that you want to make sure that your mentor fellow can support you so that they know all of your dates and everything like that. Okay, finally it gets to what you probably expect the track fellow does, which is looking at the papers, or sometimes it could also be presentations or other documentary films, that sort of thing, but I'll just mention the papers for now. So the first thing you'll be doing is, of course, reading and providing comments. So we've been saying through this whole presentation that no one was telling you exactly what to do. You can have your own style as a track fellow, and you can make your own choices. So this is one big way that you can do that. So, the way that you receive papers, a lot of people will do by email. Some people may do through CourseSite. Some people will even like to print out everything and write comments by hand. But you can also use track changes. Is very common for providing comments in Word, and there's also Google Docs. There's a lot of different choices for how you can establish yourself as a track fellow. So then you'll return your papers, probably through email or however they submitted it to you. And you want to make sure that your students have plenty of time to look over your to look over your comments, because that will make your conferences all the better if they are prepared and they have already read through the comments, so you can really have a good conversation with them as opposed to just going, one by one through the comments. And before you receive the papers, or quickly as soon as you're getting them, you will want to be setting up times to conference. So there's a lot of different ways to do that as well. Google Docs, Google Appointment, When to Meet, Doodle, they're all some great ways that people use. Google Appointments is my preferred way because they put it right into your schedule, but of course, any other way works well as well. So finally, it comes time to conference with all of your students. So you've set up the time, and you also want to set up a place. A lot of people like to conference in Lucy's, but there's also maybe even the bookstore. There's a lot of different places that you can conference. So you'll want to set up a good amount of time. Usually it's about a half hour, and start having that conference that we've all been discussing in the seminar, doing making sure that you're providing a good atmosphere for the students. You're being positive, you're working with them and not telling them what to do. You'll learn all about what makes a good conference. And then after that, as David mentioned, again, there will be some time for reflection, so you can look back and think, what went right, what went wrong, how can I improve? And you can also look at trends that you've seen within your papers, and you'll definitely want to communicate that with your professors. For example, if you notice that the professor is expecting an appendix on a paper and none of your students have an appendix, that's sort of a communication breakdown that your professor probably wants to know about. So you will probably be meeting with your professor several times throughout the semester. So that sort of, in a nutshell, is everything that we do, the whole the whole TRAC cycle that we go through.
Where else do you have faculty delivering pizza, right?
I just want to reiterate something we told most people in your interviews. TRAC work outside of the seminar comes in waves. That's our main metaphor for it. So you have periods where maybe you're not really doing that much with your class, but when they get assignments due, you have you have these periods where you are very busy with TRAC work, reading on drafts, commenting, going to the conferences, and then reflecting on how you can do better on the next assignment. I just wanted to give you sort of a few scenarios of how these waves come in certain classes, just so you can plan out your semester. The first scenario we have is sort of the ideal scenario for a TRAC fellow, where the assignments are spaced out well, so the students aren't rushing. They're not giving you half-done assignments, and at the same time, you can meet with all of them. You can do a good job commenting. The only problem with this scenario is that as you're getting assignments, it's also during 4 o'clocks for you, so you're going to have to deal with managing your time that way. And the second scenario we have, this is sort of what we call the Business 1 model, if a lot of you people were in Business 1 this year, where there are 2 main assignments sort of coinciding with your own 4 o'clocks. And then there's group assignments that's either rolling throughout the semester or towards the end during finals. And a lot of people in Business 1 were meeting with groups throughout their seminar or throughout their semester. So again, I want to emphasize how important it is at the beginning of the semester to have your notebook or your planner or whatever you have, and detailing exactly when you're meeting with these people, because a lot of the issues that TRAC fellows face are because of time management, and you have to plan really far in advance. The third scenario we have for you is a class that only has 2 assignments and they're relatively far apart. So for example, classes with larger research papers or proposals and secondary assignments, they will have these sort of systems where you only meet with them twice, and it's very far apart. So it's a challenge of how you maintain relationships with students despite not seeing them for maybe 5 weeks at a time. And yeah, there you go, Frank.
Yeah, so you already got a little bit of a taste of some of the other responsibilities you're going to have as a TRAC fellow outside of just reading on, commenting on drafts and meeting with your students. So as David touched on before, you're going to each be paired with a peer coaching partner who will probably be in this room with you right now. And you're going to meet twice a semester to observe their conferences. And this is really a great way to just get an entirely different perspective on how to conference, because your coaching partner might have an entirely different method of conferencing than you would have ever even thought of. And also to then give feedback so that they know, what was effective and what communication things they could improve upon during their conference. In addition to that, you'll be submitting 2 drafts to their peer coaching partner to look at, so that if there's any drafts that you had a particularly hard time commenting on and weren't really sure how to approach it, that's a great time to email that to your peer coaching partner so that they can give you feedback, and maybe if that problem arises again, you can address that in a different way. Then in addition, every month we have a TRAC staff meeting, which is mandatory to attend. And during these, we kind of just talk about what's going on in the TRAC program, have large group discussions about any new initiatives we're trying. So for instance, this past semester, we tried out reading and commenting on drafts using Turnitin. So we had a big discussion about the pros and cons of that, and kind of made a decision as a group of whether or not to move forward with that. Weekly working groups. So this isn't something that pertains to you in the fall, But every semester after that, you'll be put in a group of about 5 or 6 other track fellows where we found that this serves as a really valuable kind of support group environment where when you're out of the seminar, this is a great way to bring up your problems that you may have in conferencing with your students, whether somebody's not getting back to you or maybe your professor is being confusing in communicating with you. So this is a really great resource for you. And then other track events throughout the semester as they come along. At the end of each semester, so after your peer coaching partner evaluates you, you'll be filling out feedback forms, 2 for each draft and 2 for each physical observation you have. And then, once again, as a method of getting better, we want to really reflect on how we did as track fellows throughout the semester. So all of our students that we work with fill out feedback forms where they evaluate us in a bunch of different ways, our communication skills, how prepared we were for our conferences, and what they got out of the experience. So that's really valuable for us to look at and see how we can improve. And then also, after that, we take a step back and look at how we did ourselves. So we look at what we think went well, what challenges we faced throughout the semester, and how we handled them, and how we can improve upon that going on. At the end of the semester, after your course is over, you'll meet with your professor. So that's a great chance to talk about how things went, and again to just reflect upon things that went really well, and maybe things that could be improved upon in the course, or things that you could do better as a track fellow next semester. And then, in addition, you'll be meeting with your mentor fellow, which will be Kylie or Sara, to talk about how the seminar went at the end of the fall, how you think you did as a track fellow, and any challenges that you face which you thought you addressed really well, or things you can do better. So to reiterate, our work's really about bringing out the best in others, and to do that, we really want to bring out the best in ourselves through continually improving, and our work's about more than just writing. So to review, we really hold collaboration as a key means of bringing people together to learn and communicate, whether that's through writing or through other means. And we collaborate as a program through our various initiatives we have to get better in the things we do. And we really have a unique relationship in working closely with students and faculty as peer mentors so that we can have those equalizing conversations to bring out the best in others. I think that about wraps it up, so I'm sure you guys have some questions. So now feel free to ask any of us anything you may have.
I just have one thing that I forgot to add. Another thing to add to your plate, sorry. But over the summer, you'll have 2 summer reading books. One will be about mindfulness, and one will be talking about the writing process to help prepare you to think about your own writing process and how to help others. Questions?
Yeah.
When we schedule conferences, does it have to be from like 9 to 4 type of thing, or could it be like on the weekends, could it be after 4 p.m.? How does that?
So you can really work based around your schedule. So I think what most track fellows do is kind of will share with students times when they're available to conference. So if you have class all day, you don't want to schedule conferences from 9 to noon if you have class then. So whether you want to just hold conferences after 4 on days that you're free and then share those with all of your students you're working with, that's usually the most effective way. So.
Like most things in the program, it comes down to your discretion. So you can do what works for you, just maybe make sure that not all your times are at 4 in the morning or something.
Anything else that so with our peer coaches, does that change each semester? Is it kind of like a coach that you match with for the next track?
Yeah, that person changes every semester. This is actually, so like we said, one of your coaching partner for this, for the coming fall will actually be in this room, so you'll get a really good chance to work with them, and they'll be in a different track 100 seminar section. So you'll get to really know the people in your seminar really closely, you'll get to know your coaching partner really closely, and then actually in the spring you'll have an opportunity to be paired with a veteran fellow. So you'll be able to really kind of exchange your first year, your fresh experiences in the track program, and also get kind of their wealth of experience and knowledge from being a track fellow for a few more semesters.
We talked about meeting with the professor before classes start. When do people usually do that? Because like in August
some people, I'll stand up so you can see me. I know I was here last summer, so I had a little more flexibility, but it really depends, again, what works for you. Some people meet like the first week of classes. If you don't have time like before classes start, you can meet at the very end of the summer. It is usually, though, in August. It's meeting in like June or something would kind of put too much time between meeting with the professor and starting the course, so just whatever works for you.
So the idea being that you'll have received or so by the writing assignments on the chancellor to look it over, give you some time and thought to think about, and then be prepared for whenever you're available to meet that faculty member. Ideally before classes start.
That's probably a good question to transition to our next step, which is to meet some faculty. Okay. But yeah, I think email faculty over the summer, get in touch and make those plans for when you're going to meet before the semester starts. Well, we have a number of faculty here today. First, we can hear from a few of them, just talk about their experience with the TRAC program, what they like, what they value, what's important. And then we have name tags for you. So if you don't, they're in alphabetical order, A through W. Grab a name tag, put it on, come up and get some pizza, go back to your table, the faculty will join you. Other current fellows will join you, the mentor fellows will join you, and we'll have a nice conversation over some pizza. Okay? So first is Steve Savino. Steve is College of Business and Economics. He's in marketing, oversees the Biz One program, and he just helped us to advance our work with the College of Business and Economics this past year by having a partnership with the Biz One program. Welcome to Steve. Next is Todd Watkins. Todd's in the economics department. Todd has been with TRAC Fellows for probably the whole time we've been in existence, just about. He really gets writing, really gets how students learn through writing, and he has been a faculty TRAC star. If you look on our website, you'll see what that is. Next, I think he's our very first faculty. Maybe like to spin it. Next is, I think, our very first faculty TRAC star, right? Rick Vinci, in material science. Rick, I think, was requested fellows in the fall of 2008, I think every fall since then. So he's been with us from the very beginning in material science, and we're really always happy to have him out, and he will have fellows this fall. He's on Orlebeke in the history department. He's a big delivery boy. What, 2 times with us now?
2 and then replacement last year.
Okay. So, and I think that the TRAC fellows have had a really important impact, I believe, right? So they're going to join you in just a minute, but maybe I've asked. Oh, well, he's not a faculty. He's the main man back there. Jim Santanaz, director of the Rouse Center for Business Communications, really has he has joined the teaching team of the TRAC program. He's in charge of communications for all students in the College of Business and Economics, and really supported both the partnership that we've had this year with Biz 1 and Biz 5. Really would not have happened without him. He kind of brokered the deal and guided us through the process, so we're really happy to have Jim with us too. And Ben Felser, I'm sorry, Ben. Ben is in there from the Environmental Science Department 3 or 4 times with the TRAC program, right? Okay. And really also values the writing process, not just learning to write, but writing to learn, right? You learn how to become a better writer, but you also learn more about your academic discipline by working through difficult concepts in writing, communication. So that's our fact. Let's just welcome them. Maybe our 2 longest standing, Todd and Rick, just about some of the things that you value about having TRAC fellows and what you really think is important about that process.
Greg, should we start doing pizza first? Because I know people are hungry. Or what do you want to do? I'm sorry. I just wanted to get you to think about the pizzas.
I'll tell you what, if these guys can keep it short.
That's incentive for us.
Oh, okay.
I'm hungry too. So it's great to see all of you here. It's an amazing program. I've watched it grow over the years. This is an extraordinary thing. Congratulations on being here and helping us out. We really value, I really value a couple of things about the program. First is the feedback I get from you, from my TRAC fellows over the years, on what the heck I'm doing in the class and in the writing parts and communication parts in particular. I always try to work with the fellows on, my class, I try not to keep it too stale and update it and do assignments that come down the pike. And does this make sense? What do you think? I'm thinking about this problem. Can you give me some thoughts of the point of view of students and how it might work? So that part early on, when you have your first meeting with your faculty member, you can be a real resource there. I've run draft syllabuses by the students and the assignment due dates and stuff. And this semester, when I have new assignments that I'm rolling out, I will sometimes run them by the TRAC Fellows and say, hey, does this sound right? Is this confusing? Is there anything that you would suggest I change up? So that's been really super helpful. And then it's fairly obvious, but the assignments that I get back after you've worked with the students are so much better than the ones where you don't work with the students. And that makes my life so much easier because I can concentrate on the topic at hand and the content rather than whether it's structured well or whether they're communicating kind of in a decent way. Obviously, you can't fix everything, and your job isn't just line by line. But the overall structure, and this year for the first time, I actually asked my fellows to work with the students on our oral presentations too, and they were so much better this year. I should have done this year. So thank you.
So I'm an engineer, and some of you may think, uh-oh, I don't really want to be a track fellowing for an engineering program because I don't know anything about that stuff. And I have news for you. I actually prefer to have track fellows who are not engineers because you can provide a very different perspective on the kind of writing my students are doing. My students are writing so-called lab reports, but they're not like your high school lab reports, which are kind of like fill in the blank, very formulaic. Instead, they are writing a memo to a supervisor at a company, and the supervisor may or may not be an expert in their area. And so we do peer review within the class, so that other students in the class are giving each other feedback on the technical topics. But what they can't do a good job of is to give an outsider's perspective. They are much too close to the subject. I always tell the track fellows, you can follow the report, then they've done a really good job of writing it in a way that is not filled with jargon and which doesn't assume too much about what the reader already knows. So it's a very, very valuable point of view. And in fact, I completely redid my assignments when we instituted the Track Fellows program a number of years ago to bring out this aspect of it. And the students like this format so much better. And it teaches them something that otherwise they just haven't run into the whole time. So that's been a great thing.